The Great Bible, Genesis, the 37th chapter. Joseph accuseth his brethren. Joseph dreameth, and is hated of his brethren, and is sold to the Ishmaelites. Jacob bewaileth Joseph. The 37th chapter. Jacob dwelt in the land wherein his father was a stranger, even in the land of Canaan. These are the generations of Jacob. When Joseph was 17 years old, he kept sheep with his brethren, and the lad was with the sons of Bilhah, and with the sons of Zilpah, his father's wives. And he brought unto their father an evil saying of them. But Israel loved Joseph more than all his children, because he begat him in his old age, and he made him a coat of many colors. And when his brethren saw that their father loved him more than all his brethren, they hated him, and could not speak peaceably unto him. Moreover, when Joseph had dreamed a dream, he told it his brethren, which hated him yet the more. And he said unto them, Hear, I pray you, this dream which I have dreamed. Behold, we were binding sheaves in the field, and lo, my sheaf arose, and stood upright, and yours stood round about, and made obeisance to my sheaf. To whom his brethren said, Shalt thou be our king indeed? Or shalt thou indeed have dominion over us? And they hated him yet the more, because of his dreams, and of his words. And he dreamed yet another dream, and told it his brethren, saying, Behold, I have had one dream more. Methought the sun and the moon, and 11 stars made obeisance to me. And when he had told it unto his father and his brethren, his father rebuked him, and said unto him, What is this dream which thou hast dreamed? Shall I and thy mother and thy brethren come to fall on the ground before thee? And his brethren hated him, but his father noted the saying. His brethren also went to keep their father's sheep in Sichem, and Israel said unto Joseph, Do not thy brethren keep in Sichem? Come, and I will send thee to them. He answered, Here am I. And he said unto him, Go and see whether it be well with thy brethren and the sheep, and bring me word again. And so he sent him out of the valley of Hebron, and he went to Sichem. And a certain man found him, and behold, he was wandering out of his way in the field. And the man asked him, What seekest thou? He answered, I seek my brethren. Tell me, I pray thee, where they keep sheep. And the man said, They are departed hence, for I heard them say, Let us go unto Dothan. Thus went Joseph after his brethren, and found them in Dothan. And when they saw him afar off, before he came at them, they took counsel against him, for to slay him. For one said to another, Behold, this dreamer cometh. Come now, therefore, and let us slay him, and cast him into some pit. And we will say a wicked beast hath devoured him, and we shall see what will come of his dreams. When Reuben heard that, he rid him out of their hands, and said, We will not kill him. And Reuben said moreover unto them, Shed not his blood, but cast him into this pit that is in the wilderness, and lay no hand upon him. This he said, namely, that he might rid him out of their hands, and deliver him to his father again. And it happened that when Joseph was come unto his brethren, they stripped him out of his coat, his party-colored coat that was upon him, and they took him, and cast him into an empty pit, wherein was no water. And they sat them down to eat bread. And as they lift up their eyes and looked about, there came a company of Ishmaelites from Gilead, and their camels laden with spicery, balm, and myrrh, and were going down to carry it into Egypt. And Judah said unto his brethren, What availeth it, if we slay our brother, and keep his blood secret? Come on, and let us sell him to the Ishmaelites, and let not our hand be upon him, for he is our brother and our flesh. And his brethren were content. Then, as the Madianites merchantmen passed by, they drew and lifted Joseph out of the pit, and sold him unto the Ishmaelites for 20 pieces of silver. And they brought him into Egypt. And when Reuben came again unto the pit, and found not Joseph there, he rent his clothes, and went again unto his brethren, saying, The lad is not yonder, and whither shall I go? And they took Joseph's coat, and killed a goat, and dipped the coat in the blood. And they sent that party-colored coat, and brought it unto their father, and said, This have we found. See whether it be thy son's coat or no. And he knew it, saying, It is my son's coat. A wicked beast hath devoured him. Joseph is rent in pieces. And Jacob rent his clothes, and put sackcloth about his loins, and sorrowed for his son a long season. But all his sons and all his daughters rose up to comfort him. Nevertheless, he would not be comforted, but said, I will go down into the grave unto my son, mourning. And thus his father wept for him. And the Madianites sold him in Egypt unto Potiphar, a lord of Pharaoh's, and his chief steward. The 38th chapter. The marriage of Judah, the trespass of Er and Onan, and the vengeance of God that came thereupon. Judah lay with his daughter Tamar, the birth of Pharez and Zara. The 38th chapter. It fortuned at that time that Judas went down from his brethren, and gat him to a man called Hira of Adullam, and there he saw the daughter of a man called Sua, a Canaanite. And he took her, and went in to her. And she conceived, and bare a son, and called his name Er. And she conceived again, and bare a son, and called him Onan. And she conceived again, and bare yet a son, whom she called Selah. And he was at Kesib when she bare him. And Judas gave Er his eldest son a wife, whose name was Tamar. And Er, Judas' eldest son, was wicked in the sight of the Lord, and the Lord slew him. And Judas said unto Onan, Go into thy brother's wife, and marry her, that thou mayest stir up seed unto thy brother. And when Onan perceived that the seed should not be his, therefore when he went into his brother's wife, he spilled it on the ground, and gave not seed unto his brother. And the thing which he did displeased the Lord, wherefore he slew him also. Then said Judas to Tamar his daughter-in-law, Remain a widow at thy father's house, till Selah my son be grown. For he said, Lest peradventure he die also, as his brethren did. And Tamar went and dwelt in her father's house. And in process of time, the daughter of Sua, Judas' wife, died. Then Judas, when he had left mourning, went unto his sheep shearers to Timnath, he and his friend Hira of Adullam. And one told Tamar, saying, Behold, thy father-in-law goeth up to Timnath to shear his sheep. And she put her widow's garments off from her, and covered her with a cloak, and disguised herself, and sat her down in a common place, which is by the highway side to Timnath, for because she saw that Selah was grown, and she was not given unto him to wife. When Judah saw her, he thought it had been an whore, because she had covered her face. And he turned to her unto the way, and said, Come, I pray thee, let me lie with thee. For he knew not that it was his daughter-in-law. And she answered, What wilt thou give me for to lie with me? Then said he, I will send thee a kid from the flock. She said, Then give me a pledge till thou send it. He said, What pledge shall I give thee? She answered, Thy signet, thy bracelet, and thy staff that is in thy hand. And he gave it her, and lay by her, and she was with child by him. And she gat her up, and went, and put her mantle from her, and put on her widow's raiment. And Judah sent the kid by his friend of Adullam, for to receive his pledge again from the wife's hand. But he found her not. Then asked he the men of the same place, saying, Where is the whore that sat openly by the wayside? They answered, There was no whore here. He came therefore to Judah again, and said unto him, I cannot find her. And also the men of the place said, that there was no whore there. And Judah said, Let her take it to her, lest we be shamed. Behold, I sent the kid, and thou hast not found her. And it came to pass that after 3 months, one told Judah, saying, Tamar, thy daughter-in-law, hath played the whore, and with playing the whore is become great with child. And Judah said, Bring her forth, that she may be burnt. And when they brought her forth, she sent to her father-in-law, saying, By the man unto whom these things pertain, am I with child. And said also, Look whose are this seal, bracelet, and this staff. And Judah knew them, and said, She hath been more righteous than I, because I gave her not to Selah my son. And he lay with her no more. It fortuned, when time was come that she should be delivered, behold, there was 2 twins in her womb. And it fortuned, that when she travailed, the one put out his hand, and the midwife took and bound a red thread about it, saying, This is come out first. And it chanced that he plucked his hand back again, and behold, his brother came out. And she said, Wherefore hast thou rent a rent upon thee? And called his name Pharez. Afterward came out his brother that had the red thread about his hand, and his name was called Zara. The 39th chapter. God prospereth Joseph. Pharaoh's wife tempteth him. He is accursed and cast in prison. God hath mercy upon him. The 39th chapter. Joseph was brought unto Egypt, and Potiphar, a lord of Pharaoh's, and his chief steward, an Egyptian, bought him of the Ishmaelites, which had brought him thither. And God was with Joseph, and he became a lucky man, continuing in the house of his master the Egyptian. And his master saw that God was with him, and that God made all that he did to prosper in his hand. And Joseph found grace in his master's sight, and served him, and made him ruler of his house, and put all that he had in his hand. And it fortuned from the time that he had made him ruler over his house, and over all that he had, the Lord blessed the Egyptian's house for Joseph's sake, and the blessing of the Lord was upon all that he had, in the house and in the field. And therefore he left all that he had in Joseph's hand, and looked upon nothing that was with him, save only on the bread which he did eat. And Joseph was a goodly person, and a well-favored. And it fortuned after this, that his master's wife cast her eyes upon Joseph, and said, Come lie with me. But he refused, and said to his master's wife, Behold, my master wotteth not what he hath in the house with me, and hath committed all that he hath to my hand. There is no man greater in the house than I, neither hath he kept anything from me, but only thee, because thou art his wife. How then can I do this great wickedness, and sin against God? And after this manner spake she to Joseph day by day, but he hearkened not unto her, to sleep near her, or to be in her company. And it fortuned on a certain convenient day, that Joseph entered into the house, to do his business, and there was none of the household by in the house. And she caught him by the garment, saying, Come sleep with me. And he left his garment in her hand, and fled, and got him out. And it chanced, when she saw that he had left his garment in her hand, and was fled out, and she not regarded, she called unto the men of her house, and told them, saying, See, he hath brought in an Hebrew unto us to do us shame. For he came into me, for to have slept with me. And I began to cry with a loud voice. And when he heard that I lift up my voice, and cried, he left his garment with me, and fled away, and got him out. And she laid up his garment by her, until her lord came home. And she told him with these words, saying, This Hebrew servant, which thou hast brought unto us, came into me to do me shame. But as soon as I lift up my voice and cried, he left his garment with me and fled out. When his master, being too light of credence, heard the words of his wife, which she told him, saying, After this manner did thy servant to me, he waxed wroth. And the master took Joseph, and put him in prison, even into the place where the king's prisoners lay bound. And there continued he in prison. But the Lord was with Joseph, and showed him mercy, and got him favor in the sight of the Lord of the prison. And the keeper of the prison committed to Joseph's hand all the prisoners that were in the prison house, and whatsoever was done there, that did he. And the keeper of the prison looked unto nothing that was under his hand, seeing that the Lord was with him. For whatsoever he did, the Lord made it to prosper. The 40th chapter. Joseph expounded the dreams of the two prisoners. The 40th chapter. And it chanced after this, that the butler of the king of Egypt and his baker had offended their lord, the king of Egypt. And Pharaoh was angry against his two officers, against the chief butler and the chief baker, and put them in ward in his chief steward's house, even in the prison and place where Joseph was bound. And the chief steward gave Joseph a charge with them, and he served them, and they continued a season in ward. And they dreamed either of them in one night, both the butler and the baker of the king of Egypt, which were bound in the prison house, either of them his dream, and each man's dream of a sundry interpretation. When Joseph came in unto them in the morning, and looked upon them, behold, they were sad. And he asked Pharaoh's officers that were with him in his master's ward, saying, Wherefore look ye so sadly today? They answered him, We have dreamed a dream, and have no man to declare it. And Joseph said unto them, Do not interpretings belong to God? Yet tell me. And the chief butler told his dream to Joseph, and said unto him, In my dream methought there stood a vine before me, and in the vine were 3 branches, and it was as though it budded, and her blossoms shot forth, and the grapes thereof waxed ripe. And I had Pharaoh's cup in my hand, and took of the grapes, and wrung them into Pharaoh's cup, and delivered Pharaoh's cup into his hand. And Joseph said unto him, This is the interpretation of it. The 3 branches are 3 days. For within 3 days shall Pharaoh lift up thine head, and restore thee unto thine office again, and thou shalt deliver Pharaoh's cup into his hand, after the old manner wherein thou wast wont to give him drink. But if thou think on me with thee when thou art in good case, show mercy, I pray thee, unto me, and make mention of me to Pharaoh, and bring me out of this house. For I was stolen out of the land of the Hebrews, and here also have I done nothing at all, wherefore they should have put me into this dungeon. When the chief baker saw that the interpretation was good, he said unto Joseph, Methought also in my dream that I had 3 wicker baskets on my head, and in the uppermost basket was there of all manner baked meats for Pharaoh, and the birds did eat them out of the basket that was upon my head. And Joseph answered and said, This is the interpretation thereof. The 3 baskets are 3 days. For this day 3 days shall Pharaoh take thy head from thee, and shall hang thee on a tree, and the birds shall eat thy flesh from off thee. And it came to pass the 3rd day, which was Pharaoh's birthday, that he made a feast unto all his servants. And he lifted up the head of the chief butler and of the chief baker among his servants, and restored the chief butler unto his butlership again, which also reached the cup into Pharaoh's hand. But he hanged the chief baker, even as Joseph had interpreted unto them. Neither did the chief butler remember Joseph, but forgat him. The 41st chapter. Pharaoh's dreams are expounded by Joseph. He is made ruler over all Egypt. He hath 2 sons, Manasseh and Ephraim. The dearth beginneth in Egypt. The 41st chapter. And it fortuned after 2 years that Pharaoh dreamed, and behold, he stood by a riverside, and there came out of the river 7 goodly kine, and fat-fleshed, and fed in a meadow. And 7 other kine came up after them out of the river, evil-favoured and lean-fleshed, and stood by the other kine upon the brink of the river. And the evil-favoured and lean-fleshed kine did eat up the 7 well-favoured and fat kine. And Pharaoh awoke. And he slept again, and dreamed the 2nd time. And behold, 7 ears of corn grew upon one stalk, rank and goodly. And again 7 thin ears blasted with the east wind sprang up after them. And the 7 thin ears devoured the 7 rank and full ears. And Pharaoh awaked, and see, it was a dream. And when the morning came, his spirit was troubled. And he sent and called for all the soothsayers of Egypt, and all the wise men thereof. And Pharaoh told them his dream. But there was none of them that could interpret it unto Pharaoh. Then spake the chief butler unto Pharaoh, saying, I do remember my faults this day. Pharaoh, being angry with his servants, put in ward in the chief steward's house both me and the chief baker. And we dreamed both of us in one night, and each man's dream of a sundry interpretation. And there was with us a young man, an Hebrew born, servant unto the chief steward, to whom, when we told them, he declared our dreams to us according to either of our dreams. And as he declared them unto us, even so it came to pass. For he restored me to mine office again, and hanged him. Pharaoh sent therefore and called Joseph, and they brought him hastily out of prison. And he shaved himself, and changed his raiment, and came into Pharaoh. And Pharaoh said unto Joseph, I have seen a dream, and no man can interpret it. And I have heard say of thee, that as soon as thou hearest a dream, thou canst interpret it. Joseph answered Pharaoh, saying, Not I, but God shall give Pharaoh an answer of peace. And Pharaoh said unto Joseph, In my dream methought I stood by a river's side, and there came out of the river 7 fat-fleshed and well-favored kine, and fed in the meadow. And then 7 other kine came up after them, poor and very evil-favored, and lean-fleshed, such as I never saw in all the land of Egypt. They were so evil-favored. And the 7 lean and evil-favored kine did eat up the first 7 fat kine. And when they had eaten them up, a man could not perceive that they had eaten them, but they were still as evil-favored as they were at the beginning. And I awoke, and I saw again in my dream, and behold, 7 ears sprang out of one stalk, full and fair, and 7 other ears again, withered, thin, and blasted with the east wind, sprang up after them. And the thin ears devoured the 7 good ears. And I have told it unto the soothsayers, but there was no man that could tell what it meaneth. And Joseph answered Pharaoh, Both Pharaoh's dreams are one, and God hath showed Pharaoh what he is about to do. The 7 good kine are 7 years, and the 7 good ears are 7 years also, and it is but one dream. Likewise, the 7 thin and evil-favored kine that came out after them are 7 years, and the 7 empty and blasted ears shall be 7 years of hunger. This which I have said unto Pharaoh is it that God is about to do, and showeth it unto Pharaoh. Behold, there come 7 years of great plenteousness throughout all the land of Egypt. And again there shall arise after them 7 years of hunger, and all the plenteousness shall be forgotten in the land of Egypt. And the hunger shall consume the land, neither shall the plenteousness be known in the land, by reason of that hunger that shall come after, for it shall be exceeding great. And as concerning that the dream was doubled unto Pharaoh the 2nd time, behold, the thing is certainly prepared of God, and God will shortly bring it to pass. Now therefore let Pharaoh provide for a man of understanding and wisdom, and set him over the land of Egypt. And let Pharaoh do this also, that he may make officers over the land, and take up the 5th part of the land of Egypt in the 7 plenteous years, and let them gather all the food of these good years that come, and lay up corn under the hand of Pharaoh, that there may be food in the cities, and there let them keep it, that there may be food in store in the land, against the 7 years of hunger which shall come in the land of Egypt, that the land perish not through hunger. And the saying pleased Pharaoh and all his servants. Then said Pharaoh unto his servants, Where shall we find such a man as this is, in whom is the Spirit of God? And Pharaoh said unto Joseph, Forasmuch as God hath showed thee all this, there is no man of understanding or of wisdom like unto thee. Thou therefore shalt be over my house, and according to thy word shall all my people be ruled. Only in the king's seat will I be above thee. And Pharaoh said again unto Joseph, Behold, I have set thee over all the land of Egypt. And he took off his ring from his hand, and put it upon Joseph's hand, and arrayed him in cloth of reins, and put a golden chain about his neck, and set him upon the best chariot that he had, save one. And they cried before him, Bow the knee. And Pharaoh made him ruler over all the land of Egypt. And Pharaoh said unto Joseph, I am Pharaoh. Without thee shall no man lift up his hand or foot in all the land of Egypt. And he called Joseph's name Zophnath-Paeanah. And he gave him to wife Asenath, the daughter of Potiphar, priest of On. Then went Joseph abroad in the land of Egypt. And he was 30 years old when he stood before Pharaoh, king of Egypt. And Joseph, departing from the presence of Pharaoh, went throughout all the land of Egypt. And in the 7 plenteous years they made sheaves, and gathered up all the food of the 7 plenteous years, which were in the land of Egypt, and laid up the same in the cities. The food of the fields that grew round about every city laid he up in the same. And Joseph laid up corn in store, like unto the sand of the sea, in multitude out of measure, until he left numbering, for it was without number. And unto Joseph were born 2 sons, before the years of hunger came, which Asenath the daughter of Potiphar, priest of On, bare unto him. And Joseph called the name of the first son Manasseh, for God, said he, hath made me forget all my labor and all my father's household. The name of the second called he Ephraim, for God, said he, hath caused me to grow in the land of my trouble. And when the 7 years of plenteousness that was in the land of Egypt were ended, then came the 7 years of dearth, according as Joseph had said. And the dearth was in all lands. But in all the land of Egypt was there yet food. And when the land of Egypt also began to hunger, the people cried to Pharaoh for bread. And Pharaoh said unto all the Egyptians, Go unto Joseph, and what he saith to you, that do. And the dearth was throughout all the land. And Joseph opened all that was in the cities, and sold unto the Egyptians. For the hunger waxed sore in the land of Egypt. And all countries came to Egypt to Joseph for to buy corn, because that the hunger was so sore in all lands.